Hello everybody, before this video does start, I just do want to say that this is actually a re-recording of my video that I uploaded earlier this afternoon. For some reason the file actually corrupted and it ended right in the middle of when I was speaking, right around 8 minutes when I actually went on to around 14 minutes, which was the end date of the actual video. So I am re-recording this for you guys. Luckily one of my subscribers, and I really thank that subscriber, did tell me in the comments that the video ended at that point, so I'm able right now to re-record this, and I'm going to go over all that information once again for you guys and re-upload it to YouTube so that you guys can actually get it, just so you guys don't get confused on why you might have gotten two notifications for what seemed like the same video. The other one did get corrupted, so that is why I am re-recording this one right now. We have a severe weather threat over the southern United States. An enhanced risk is currently in place over parts of Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi as well. And we already have a slight risk which covers much of the southern United States in general, and we already have the threat of a severe thunderstorm watch going in place. So we're going to talk about all of that and more in today's video. So here is what the current National Weather Service page looks like. We have some winter weather advisories in Montana, as well as some winter weather alerts in effect for the Sierra Nevada mountains in California. We have some wind advisories up for western Nevada and eastern California, as well as some red flag warnings in effect for parts of the Four Corners and also for a little bit of Texas there. But other than that, we really don't have a lot going on in terms of watches and warnings. We had yesterday a high temperature in Death Valley, California, where they got to 97 degrees Fahrenheit, and the low temperature was in Peter Sinks, Utah, and in Climax, Colorado, where both of them got down to -7 degrees Fahrenheit. And believe it or not, it is April 23rd, so well, that technically was on April 22nd, but very late, and we're still dealing with a bunch of reported temperatures that were below zero in the higher terrain, and a ton of temperatures that were below freezing over much of the eastern and central United States yesterday. So really a cold pattern that we are in. Wrangell, Maine, they got 1.45 inches of reported precipitation, which is the highest precipitation report in the United States from yesterday, and the highest snowfall report was actually also in Wrangell, Maine. To the south of that town in the mountains, they have some higher elevation regions where they actually got 8 inches of reported snowfall, so they got the highest precipitation and snowfall report for yesterday. So here's what the mesoscale discussion looks like. You can see that we have a chance of a watch at 95% there in the bottom right hand corner, and that's from the Storm Prediction Center, not from me. That is what they are saying with this one. They're talking about potentially some convection spawning up within this blue hatched region right here over the next 1 to 2 hours, which would be basically right around 2 to 3 p.m. because this was issued about an hour or so ago from when I'm recording this. So right around 2 to 3 p.m. Central Time is when this would be valid for, and when they might issue a watch up over some of these areas. Here's what the current radar looks like, and you can see it is quite really inactive as of right now. We have some lighter storms to the south, right around San Antonio and Austin, but it's really going to be this corridor from San Antonio to Dallas, and then as far west as maybe Abilene, and then anywhere further east of there, so pretty much everywhere here is where we're dealing with the threat of convective activity for tonight, and then into tomorrow as well. Tomorrow morning is going to be a big threat for areas further to the east, right around here, and then for tomorrow night, it's going to be more of a threat for the southeast areas. So here's what the Storm Prediction Center is showing for the chances that we actually do see some severe weather. We have a slight risk in effect in that yellow, which covers much of the Gulf states and also into the south central United States, and then over a little area of Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi, we actually have two different areas of enhanced risk, which are currently up for parts of, again, the south central United States. On their day 2 outlook, they do have a slight risk of severe weather, and that is for the coastal southeast and actually much of the southeast in general, where they do have that slight risk. Wouldn't be surprised if they do actually put up an enhanced risk, maybe somewhere right around here. That is definitely a possibility for tomorrow, but I'm going to leave that up to the Storm Prediction Center for them to do that. So here's what the NAM 3CAM model is showing, a high resolution model. Sometimes when you are watching the local news and they say we're going to switch to Futurecast, usually they are talking about either the NAM model or the RPM model. So they are actually going based off high resolution recent models, and that's what's deemed on TV, especially as the Futurecast radar. And basically, that's what we're looking at right now. We're expecting thunderstorms to really develop by later tonight. So this is going to be right around 4 p.m. Central Time. Over eastern Texas, we have some of that heavy rainfall over the eastern half of the state, and even back up through some of the Gulf states as well, where we do have the risk of some severe weather later today. But it's really going to boost up as we get to right around 7 p.m. Central Time tonight. And we do have some of those thunderstorms rolling through Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, also into Arkansas as well. Let's continue this further. Here's by 11 p.m. Still some heavy rainfall and pockets of definitely gusty winds. Also maybe some hail mixed in there, and even a couple tornadoes cannot be ruled out just yet, unfortunately. And we wish there wasn't any tornadoes, and that we don't have to deal with tornadoes. But unfortunately, when you get severe weather, there is always that threat of a tornado or two. And hopefully that threat doesn't come to fruition. But we do want to warn you guys that there is some threat of tornadoes over these areas. And then moving into tomorrow morning, this is around 1 a.m. Central Time tomorrow, 2 a.m. Eastern Time, and we're dealing with that line of storms right around Mississippi and northern Louisiana, right through here, where we are dealing with the threat of some storms. Definitely, again, hail, damaging winds, and definitely some heavy rainfall is all possible with this. And we're even looking at the threat of maybe 3 to 5 inches of rain in some of these areas. We're going to discuss that more later on in the video. Here to be by 4 a.m. Central Time, 5 a.m. Eastern Time. We have those storms rolling through northern Louisiana, northern Mississippi, central Alabama, many of those areas dealing with heavy downpours for the most part, but it's not overly severe, and you're going to see that as we continue through the day on Saturday. It really weakens, or at least it seems like it's going to weaken, but this is what we want to watch out for. We see the initial band of rainfall up to the north, and that's your warm front just pulling through to the north, and because the warm front has now pulled through, we're starting to develop a cold front behind that's bringing in a bunch of different thunderstorms and clusters of storms into parts of the southeast. So you can see line number 1, line number 2, you can even say line number 3 back here in South Carolina. But watch what happens. This is by 2 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. Here's by 5 p.m. And now we have 3 distinct, well-developed clusters of thunderstorms, one back in South Carolina and Georgia, another one in southern Georgia and southern Alabama, and one more through central Alabama, where all of those areas have the threat of seeing, again, heavy downpours, hail, and gusty winds, potentially gusting over 60 to 70 miles per hour at times. This is later on Saturday, so this is right around 8 p.m. and we have line 1, line 2, another cluster right back through here, and then line 3 or 4, depending on how you're really classifying this. So we have multiple different lines through the southeastern United States, and you can see how robust they are. We see potentially a little bit of spin here. So I know the NAM model isn't a radar tool necessarily, but it is showing what is definitely a signature of a tornado or tornadic type of events, where we have a little bit of a hook in some of these thunderstorms. If you were looking at this on radar, you would say maybe that spot has a tornado. Now, just because on this model run, this particular location has that little hook echo right there, does not mean that it's going to be right in that spot, of course, but it does mean that the general pattern or trend is for some tornadic activity potentially in some of these areas, maybe through central Georgia, central Alabama, and then through the coastal Carolinas as well. So we do want to watch out for that threat. And again, we're praying and hoping that that is not going to happen, but I don't want to deceive you guys. There is, of course, that threat always with these thunderstorm events, that we do get a tornado or two to spawn out of these storms. This is by 11 p.m. Eastern Time. It is coming to an end, but it's still really ramping up through parts of the Carolinas and Georgia, where we have some rather robust convective bands of precipitation over southern Georgia, southern and eastern South Carolina, eastern North Carolina as well. And then it's wrapping up by 2 in the morning on Sunday, and we're dealing with that line of storms dissipating and moving to the east, where it's not really going to be too much of a threat anymore. Here's the Cape values, which is the convective available potential energy, and you can see that we do have a band or an area over central Texas that has a rather robust and a high amount of energy and instability in the atmosphere, and that is really going to help these storms get fueled up and start to get going. And that's why we actually have that mesoscale discussion in these areas. If we look at the southeast, we also have a rather ample amount of CAPE, which is right around 2 to 3,000 CAPE, which is definitely well above what you need. Even a few areas getting close to 4,000 joules per kilogram, which is definitely quite high in this scenario. Here is the supercell composite parameter, the SCP, which again stands for supercell composite parameter, and you can see that the highest values through central and eastern Texas. This is basically indicating how likely it is that you're going to actually see a supercell develop. And if you don't know, supercells are the types of storms that tornadoes are most likely to spawn in. So the higher this probability, the higher the chance of tornadoes. Luckily, it's on the lower end of things, so we're not seeing SCP values closer to 20, although if you look at the southeast, we are unfortunately dealing with that. So I think the tornadoes, if they were to be anywhere, they would be through Georgia, Alabama, maybe even stretching into parts of South Carolina, and maybe touching the southernmost tip of North Carolina as well, because we do see these SCP values closer to 20 in some of these areas. So on the upper echelon of the scale that we have on the side of the screen right here, here's the expected rainfall with this event, and you can see that we have anywhere in the yellow 1+ inches, 2 to 3 inches in the oranges and reds. In the browns, that's where we're at 3 to 4 inches, and then once you get into kind of that I would say light gray or kind of a purplish shade right there, that's where we're dealing with 4 to 6 inches of rainfall. And you can see that over parts of northern Louisiana and into northeastern Texas, even a little bit of Mississippi, but a wider swath of 2+ inches all through here. And this is not going to be taking place over 12 or 24 hours. This is taking place over maybe half an hour to an hour at most. So this is not going to be one of those events that you're kind of just in rainfall for a long amount of time, but it's not really a big deal because it's coming at a slow rate. This is coming at a heavy rate over a short amount of time. So this is what's really worrying me, is not really the amounts. You could deal with 3 to 5 inches, even if it happens all in 24 hours. What's really not good is when it happens within 1 to 3 hours of each other. So we do want to watch out for that. And again, remember, turn around, don't drown. It's not worth going through a flooded road if you know there's another way to get to your point, to whatever point or location you want to go to. Kind of find that detour and go that other route so that you don't risk losing your life while going into the flooded roadway. I believe only 6 inches of water or maybe 12 inches of water is needed to carry a big car. So really not even though it doesn't look like too much rainfall, it is definitely enough to sweep away your car in some of these cases. So just kind of take the safe route and go the other way if you are traveling in these flooded roadways. And over the southeast, you can also see that we do have some of these fairly heavy rainfall and precipitation amounts of 2 to 4 inches in a lot of these areas, even some pockets of 4+ inches in parts of the Carolinas, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, pretty much the entire southeast. Here is the dew point temperatures, and you can see that we have dew points of above 60 in many of these areas through eastern Texas and southern Louisiana. Also, don't forget about Oklahoma. They also have some rather high dew points for this time of year in that area, and they will actually see some thunderstorms, especially in the eastern corridor of the state, where they will have the highest threat of severe weather. Here's the dew points in the southeast, and these are going to be really high, over 70, which really not going to be a pleasant day before even the thunderstorms come in. Just walking outside with temperatures in the 70s and dew points also in the 70s, not going to feel too good. Even if it's not raining just yet, it'll be a really muggy atmosphere. So really, Saturday is not going to be a great day, but Sunday, it'll cool down, it'll be much drier, and it'll definitely be a nice day as you're recovering from whatever damage takes place from these thunderstorms. So it's going to be good to go to church on Sunday, or just do anything on Sunday, really, because the storms will have passed and it'll be a nice bright day with drier weather. So none of this muggy weather that we are dealing with for tomorrow. And here's the high temperatures, by the way. And These will also be not incredibly high, so these aren't blowing me away with these temperatures. They're in the 70s, maybe even a tad or two below average, but we are dealing with still temperatures in the 70s. Either way, it's going to be warm enough for a thunderstorm. You only really need temperatures above 65 to get a good thunderstorm going. So really, not too much to worry about in terms of the temperature department. And in the southeast, also we're dealing with some high temperatures in the upper 70s, even into the 80s over areas further to the south, and also in the coastal Carolinas and coastal Georgia and southern Georgia as well. We are dealing with temperatures above 60 or 65 in all of these areas, so really no worries in terms of dew points or in terms of temperatures either. So that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Again, I really do want to apologize for the corrupted file with the video I uploaded before. It cut out around like 8 minutes and 47 seconds, I believe, or somewhere right around there, around 8 minutes. So I do apologize for that, and that's why I'm re-recording this, so you guys still do get a video out for today, because I know a lot of you guys do need this information for your work or just to plan out your day with all these thunderstorms and events that are going on. So hopefully you guys do enjoy your day. Consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.